everyone, Mia here. So, as you probably know by now, Lucas and I are currently taking a break from exploring, but it turns out I actually kind of miss doing my field notes. I know, who'd have guessed? I talked it over with Lucas, and he helped me get some recording equipment set up. Until we get going back out into the field again, I thought I would just talk about some hoaxes in the cryptid world, since most famous hoaxes have been well enough publicized that I can research them without having to actually go anywhere, which is handy. So I guess, without further ado, here we go. I figured I'd start big, as in Bigfoot. Why not? Now, since Lucas still refuses to let me dismiss Sasquatch as a hoax overall, I will instead be focusing solely on the Patterson film. Even if you don't know the Patterson-Gimlin film by name, you've surely seen at least a screenshot of it, or a drawing of Sasquatch in that now-classic pose. A large, blurry figure walking into the woods, turning its head and shoulders to look back at the camera. It's the most famous Sasquatch footage in the world. Hell, probably the most famous cryptid footage in the world, period. Here are the details. The Patterson-Gimlin film, commonly referred to as just the Patterson film, was taken on or around October 20th, 1967 in Bluff Creek, an area of California's Six Rivers National Forest. The exact filming location was lost for decades, but it was rediscovered in 2011, and the film actually celebrated its 50th anniversary last year. As the name implies, the footage was filmed by Roger Patterson and his partner, Bob Gimlin. Now, it's not known for sure what frame rate the footage was filmed at, so depending on the frames per second, the film runs somewhere between 53 and 59 seconds long. The subject of the film is known colloquially as Patty. I guess named after Patterson? For some background, Patterson had developed a keen interest in the Sasquatch legends, interviewing witnesses and searching for the creature. Eventually, in the summer of 1967, he began filming a pseudo-documentary about cowboys searching for Sasquatch. Bob Gimlin was playing the cowboy's Native American guide. Yeah, I know, they were making a movie about Sasquatch. And just so happened to find Sasquatch. According to their story, Patterson and Gimlin were riding their horses through Bluff Creek after having spent a few days in the area, when suddenly they see it. Sasquatch. Patterson got out the camera and followed it for a few hundred yards until they lost it. They went to their camp, came back with plaster, and made casts of the footprints. Initially, few scientists cared enough about the video to even look at it. Shocking, I know. Patterson did allow the BBC to make a documentary incorporating the footage in return for letting him tour the country with it, which he did, and he actually made a decent profit showing it in local movie theaters. Gimlin, on the other hand, tried to avoid publicity for decades, and only really started talking about the encounter in the past few years. Now, Patterson died in 1972, only a few years after the supposed encounter. In the years since then, people who have been interviewed about Patterson generally refer to him as a con man, and there are a ton of accounts of him owing people money and actually being sued by some of them. So, to summarize, a con artist with an interest in Sasquatch starts filming a Sasquatch movie and just happens to run into the real Sasquatch, and then manages to turn a profit from the whole situation. Now I know, because of the fog, cryptids can't be captured on film. But come on! You don't need the fog to see that this thing is fishy. However, to really put any doubts to rest, I've got two more characters I'd like to mention. The first is a man named Bob Hieronymus. In 1999, Hieronymus claimed that he was Sasquatch. Well, he claimed to be the actor in the Sasquatch suit. He had initially remained silent in hopes of being paid for his work, which of course, knowing Patterson, he never was. In later years, he continued to remain silent for fear of being convicted of fraud. I don't know who he thought would charge him with fraud, since he was just acting in the film, but whatever. His claims are backed up by both relatives and a friend who all claim to have seen an ape suit in his car around that time. And speaking of ape suits, we also have a man named Philip Morris, No relation to the tobacco company. The owner of a costume and prop house, actually. In 2002, he claimed to have made a gorilla suit for Patterson, and that after he sent the suit, Patterson even asked him how to make the shoulders more massive and the arms longer. And he actually gave a great quote about the creature's gait, which I'll just read all of it. The Bigfoot researchers say that no human can walk that way in the film. Oh yes, they can! When you're wearing long clown's feet, you can't place the ball of your foot down first. You have to put your foot down flat, otherwise you'll stumble. Another thing, when you put on the gorilla head, you can only turn your head maybe a quarter of the way. And to look behind you, you've got to turn your head and your shoulders and your hips. Plus, the shoulder pads in the suit are in the way of the jaw. That's why the Bigfoot turns and looks the way he does in the film. He has to twist his entire upper body. Morris's wife supports all his claims. So, there you have it. The Patterson film. The most famous piece of so-called cryptozoological proof. And it's a big steaming pile of hoax. I guess that's all for now. Like I mentioned, we're staying off the road for the foreseeable future, but I had fun with this. I'll be doing some more whenever I get a chance, so I'm sure I'll be back with another story real soon. Bye!